So here we are, Aliens of London and World War III, the first two-parter of the modern era of Doctor Who since the classic seasons, and possibly the first of longer reviews of this marathon. Yeah, since this is a two-parter, I am going to have to talk about both episodes as a whole, so there may be some moments I might miss out upon, but I might be able to talk about them in a later review. I'll just try and keep this review as short and quick as possible. The story starts with Rose Tyler returning home to visit her family after her first trips with the Doctor, only to discover that she's been gone for a whole year. Her mother, Jackie, played by Camille Coduri, has been traumatized by the disappearance of her daughter, and Mickey Smith, played by Noel Clarke, has been considered a murder suspect. This puts Rose in a difficult position to explain to her family what has been going on, but that is largely interrupted when a flying spaceship has arrived to Earth, and with that, the world goes insane. Big Ben is destroyed by the flying object, the world population and media go crazy, and random business people from random businesses are becoming next in line for prime ministers. The Doctor goes to investigate the pilot of the spaceship taken to a hospital, only to discover it's an ordinary Earth pig placed in a spacesuit. It turns out the real aliens have infiltrated 10 Downing Street. They are the family Slevene from the planet Raxacalcophala, who have corrupted the world government and taken advantage of the frightened population to send the human race into a war with no enemy to fight, just to make money. It is up to the Doctor, Rose and her family, and Harriet Jones, MP for Flydale North, played by Penelope Wilton, to discover the Slevene's plan and find a way to stop them before World War III becomes a possible solution. After a successful run of 3 episodes, you would think that Russell T Davies would take us to other dimensions, or parallel universes, or possible futures and past timelines. Instead, the series takes us back to present-day Earth. Now, to some viewers it might be a little bit underwhelming, but to be fair, this episode does answer 2 important questions for the modern era, which I'm not entirely sure the classic era has explored before. One is, what would the life the companion leaves behind be like? What if the companion returns home, and how do the people they know around her would react to this? It would have been so easy for Rose Tyler, having left Jackie and Mickey at home, for her to just move on and forget about them during her travels with the Doctor. But instead, the makers decide to tackle this concept, having Rose return home to her mother 1 year too late, and having to go head on into having to explain everything to her. And this element is still explored in future episodes. Honestly, the best thing about this two-parter is Mickey Smith and Jackie Tyler. These 2 characters, who were barely developed in episode 1, are now well-rounded and fully dimensioned characters, now added into this new world and have to live with it. Something I really wish the current run of Doctor Who today would still carry on doing. The Doctor, Rose and Harriet are stuck inside a trapped room, so they have to call just these normal people to help stop an alien plot. And they are doing it in order to save someone they care about who has also got themselves mixed up into this. Mickey has now gone from coward and possible criminal suspect to hero of the week. Stuff like them working out the Slevene's weakness and discovering their actual plan through the phone is really exciting. Sure, Mickey being able to access a unit military weapon site is questionable, but he has got the Doctor helping him out, so I can accept this. And Jackie Tyler reacting to the TARDIS and calling the police to arrest the Doctor are really well defined scenes. Also, she gets to slap the Doctor. I don't know why, that just made me laugh. The other question this episode does manage to answer is, what would happen if the human race found out about aliens? What if they got into first contact? How would the politicians use this out of nowhere event to make money out of it? Now, if you look very closely, Doctor Who has never shied away from politics or direct political allegories in the past, or even in the current run. So having the modern era's first two-parters center around it can be a difficult task. I didn't know until recently how the story concepts were actually based on real-life events, like 9/11. And there were even some stuff like random business people now being next in line for leaders of the world, which, my god, I'm watching this in 2021 now, and this still holds up. Even the aliens in disguise as political people just talking out their butts. Not literally, but you get the idea. Elements like those are still a thing that is happening today. Now, if you ignore the real-world references, this is still a good concept. An alien race not here to conquer, but to make money. And the Slovene themselves look great. These giant green-fingered bodies with baby faces who use human disguises like suits with a giant zip on their forehead. That's both funny and creepy at the same time. Although I will admit the CGI effects on them are a little bit bad, especially in the transformation scenes and the Benny Hill chase sequence. I can see these creatures put some people off for being a little too childish, like the farting scenes and their dialogues for example. Yeah, I cannot argue with that. So I guess it does kind of make sense why Russell T Davies moved them to the children's spin-off, the Sarah Jane Adventures. But I can still see these villains work again in the actual run of Doctor Who. I mean, farting aside, they do have creepy moments, like the Planet Earth is at war speech. I can see this concept of aliens in disguise put the children viewers on edge with caution. Even the idea of taking a normal Earth pig, experimenting and augmenting it, it's a disturbing concept. Even the actors themselves do carry the roles very well, especially Annette Badland, being both fun and intimidating to watch. I guess this might be a good way to answer the question which I'm pretty sure some people ask when they watch Doctor Who. Is the show made for kids or for adults? Now let me just say, I didn't watch this episode when it first came out. Even on DVD, I just skipped it and went straight to Dalek. However, I did notice in future episodes that this two-parter had story arc elements. I knew I had to go back and watch it at some point. So I watched World War III first. I don't know why, I just did. And I thought it was good. It was really interesting, and I was invested in the political side, how both sides have to make tough decisions. Then I watched Aliens of London, and while it wasn't terrible, I did notice the whole tone was flipped over. In fact, I have seen some people saying that the tone is all over the place in this two-parter, which is why I'm pretty sure this story is not well received. And I can understand that, because for the most part, it's really clear that Russell T Davies wanted the story to be taken seriously, with the whole alien contacts and politics getting involved in possible world war solutions. But at the same time, it has to be suitable for kids. So either he or the director or the editors or someone had to change a few places. Let's have a space pig in the hospital. Let's have fat people farting because that's funny. Let's make the alien have baby faces. And yeah, stuff like that does make the entire story a little messy. But I've always had this theoretic opinion that this two-parter was an experiment to see which audiences is the show best made for. You get Aliens of London, which features all the childish stuff that kids could get into, whilst World War III shows the more mature real-world issues that adults can understand. Me personally, I consider the show to be viewed by both audiences, both kids and adults. And the Slovene, being both menacing and childish looking, is a good mixture of the two. So yeah, nitpicks aside, the two-parter I think still works. It's a solid, if half-baked, watch. The story has interesting concepts and questions to explore upon. The actors are great, in particular the Doctor, Rose, Mickey, Jackie, the Slovene family, and even Harriet Jones. Penelope Wilton is fantastic playing an eccentric mentor reporter, now taking responsibility to make the hard decisions for the human race, which then does lead her to become Prime Minister in the Christmas special. There are some logic that might not make sense, and yeah, some of the visual effects may be a little distracting in some moments, but the production design, makeup, music and sound design do make the scenes more impactful. Oh yeah, and Unit are back, and they do absolutely nothing. Oh, and this story introduces the media aspect of the show, the introduction of Trinity Wells, and bringing in real-life news reporters and presenters. Oh, and Toshiko from Torchwood is in this. No, seriously, that is Toshiko from the future spin-off Torchwood. I do think its biggest problem is its tone. Either go serious with the political satire, or just go wild with the childish humour. If you haven't seen this two-parter in a long while, I highly recommend giving this another watch. There may be some off-putting moments, some special effects and lines that have clearly not aged well, but I do still think there is actually something that still holds up today for you to appreciate. In fact, this two-parter does set up the template for modern era moving forward, giving more dimension to the companions and the characters, a family life to return to, and a more grounded edge to it, especially with that beautiful epilogue. So yeah, nitpicks aside, Aliens of London and World War III, I think, still work. Just don't expect it to be a consistent run-through. I mean, it's a story with a space pig and farting aliens in 10 Downing Street. Go with it.